So we all know the story, this week's parsha, the whole story of the miracle. This is the story of the spies.
Are we going to dump it now, or we're...
So the story of the spies was that they went to Eretz Yisrael and they went to check it out, to see what was happening there. And they saw the land, and we're going to see actually the words that it says there. But the question is, what happened? They came back and they had a whole report, and they had a lot of things that they said over which wasn't good. It was lashon hara.
Hard to believe. Cream of the cream of the cream of the crop. Hard to believe.
The question is, they all speak about how could it be that these people spoke lashon hara? These were the great people. Kalei ben Yefuna was in there, and different people. So Kalei ben Yefuna and Yeshua ben Nun didn't speak any lashon hara, but the other 10 did. So we're going to have to. That's a good point. The Mesilas Yesharim speaks about that point. What prompted them to speak lashon hara? You have to go into that. That's separate. They had some motives that were driving them. Mesilas Yesharim says. But the question is now, what happened there? They said lashon hara, and they therefore, because of that, there was a big problem, and Hashem said, we're going to have he's going to wipe out the whole nation, and Moshe had to daven. The question is, why was it lashon hara? Isn't the rule that you're allowed to say lashon hara if it's for te'elas? The rule is if you have a positive reason why you're saying it, then you're allowed to say lashon hara. Let's say someone calls you up and they want to marry off your, they want to get married, they have a boy for your daughter. So they say, Shadchan says, I have a good boy. So you say, okay, I'll take down his name and number and all the information. Now you call up someone. So you call up the boy's Rabbi, and you want to ask him some questions. Now, what is the Rebbe supposed to say? Let's say the boy is not so serious. What should the Rebbe tell you? You ask him, is the boy very good? Does he learn a whole day? Does he love to do mitzvahs? Does he fear Hashem? What should the Rebbe say when he answers each of these questions? Because the Shelach is on him. They're banking on him. So if he says the boy is great, the Shelach will go. If he says no, so then he's stopping the Shelach. So how do you judge such an idea? If you be the rabbi, right? That's why it's one of the hardest positions to be a rabbi. For this idea, it's very hard because sometimes you have a close school. But let's say it's not a close school. Let's say the buffer is not so serious. He's not on his way there yet. What should the Rebbe tell the father of the girl? You be the judge.
I think he has to be honest. He has to tell the truth.
But he's going to be saying bad things about the boy.
He's going to be saying honest things about the boy. He has to talk emes. He's a rabbi.
Very good. David. Now, is that lashon hara? Because he's saying something bad about the boy?
It could be.
Oh, so how could he say it? So the answer is that there's a rule called toyeles. Toyeles means a benefit. The Chafetz Chaim, when he wrote the Sefer, he included in there that there is, if you have a toyeles, if there's a positive benefit which will incur from what you're saying, then you are allowed to say lashon hara. If there's a positive benefit. Therefore, that answers the question. Of course, he has to be honest. And if it's for to'eles, then he's allowed to say it. If here we have the girl she's obviously on this good level, so you are allowed to say that the boy is really not up to par. He doesn't really enjoy what he's doing. He's not in it. His heart's not in it. You're allowed to say all that because it's for to'eles. Because if they go out and then they see that there's a mistake, they played broken telephone, or something was broken along the way, and then you can mess everything up. Or they could get married, and then they'll see, then she'll discover that he doesn't love his learning, and then she'll be very unhappy. So therefore, that is called toyeles. Toyeles, a positive benefit, and then that is mutter, that you're allowed to say anything that is for toyeles. Now, as long as there are certain requirements which have to be obtained, you have to have 7 conditions to say this. But if you have those 7 requirements fulfilled and it's tayeles, then you could say lashon hara. So for a job also, it's very relevant. If you want to hire someone for your company, or you want to get someone to rent out your basement, you have to find out
reference, yeah.
References.
References all the time. So.
What if in this situation the Rebbe knows something that the father doesn't? In other words, the Rebbe knows that it really doesn't matter so much whether the boy is serious or not, because the girl really doesn't want, he knows the girl, and he knows that the girl really is not that interested in having someone who's going to be in the kollel all the time. She doesn't want a serious boy. The father's the one that wants the serious boy, and not the daughter. And so the Rebbe knows that if he says that it's not a serious boy, that the shidduch will not go through. But if he says, yes, he is a serious boy, he'll
now, the boy really is what? Really the boy is?
Really, the boy is not serious. Just exactly
really
the same
serious
situation, right? But the
really.
Rebbe knows that it would be a good shidduch because the girl is not serious either.
But the father of the girl wants her to marry. In other words, these things can be complicated.
What would the Rebbe do in that case?
So there is such an idea. There is such ideas sometimes where the father or the mother have unrealistic demands, or the girl has unrealistic demands. Let's say she says she doesn't want anyone with glasses, and she's getting to be 23, 24. So there is such an idea, Berkowitz brings down, that sometimes that's for her best. That's not called tricking her. It depends what the if she really wants that. It could be if that's really for her best. It's a very tricky line. It could be that, let's say, she has something which is totally unrealistic to ask for, something that it's really not called for. She's fooling herself. So in such a case, if she's fooling herself, it could be that maybe you could fool her back. Could be. We'd have to check up on this. This is very tricky once you get to such a thing. Let's say all these types of issues. So here you would have to see. We'd have to consult a rabbi for this exact question. So you want to say what? That since the girl herself really wants such a boy,
the only one who really is interested in a serious boy is the father.
And the father has the, I guess you...
So you want to know, could you lie and say that the boy is serious?
Yeah. Knowing that if the shidduch goes through, they'll both be happy. The boy who's not serious and the girl who really doesn't want a serious boy to begin with. The only one who'll be disappointed is the father.
I think you have one question first as to whether it's still a toelis to say that he's not a serious learner, because the father has a right to know the information too. There is a purpose there too. He might say, well, my daughter will come around one day, and right now she's not there. So there's a toelis there. To lie, that takes it a whole further level.
Right, because this is in Hilchos Tafetz Chaim, Hilchos Lashon Hara. Lashon Hara means you're saying the truth, like you said before. It's all true. The question is, it's reflecting bad.
But we do know that you can lie in certain instances. Somebody, you tell a bride, that's the common one, right? You're going to tell the kala, that she's ugly. No, of course not.
Right, that's the Gemara Ksubas. That's true. The Gemara does say that you in front of the chassan, you're obviously supposed to tell the chassan once he gets married that the kala is beautiful, because there's no purpose
to tell her
to say that she's not so beautiful. That's one idea. But in reference to this question, there is this idea. I'll give you the case that I know. If, let's say, people, they say the age a little bit different. Let's say you could give, 2 years. You could take off 2 years. Let's say it's a given in that community that they take off 2 years. Let's say the girl, she'll say she's, instead of 20, she'll say 21, she'll say she's 19. Or she'll say 20, let's say 1 year. Let's say you're allowed to have 1 year off. So such a thing, that would be then you're allowed to change, you have a year given also. Such an idea. We'd have to check up on your question, if you could do such a thing, because Bill's saying also that it's just equal.
The Rebbe could answer it without lying. And if the father says, is this a serious boy, the Rebbe could say, I believe this boy would be perfect for your daughter.
That is.
But that's not your situation. That's not what you said initially.
No, it still is. It still is.
No, because he's not going to say, because if the father says, well, is he serious about learning, then you would actually have to lie. Well,
the question is, there's a father. So this is a question of Gnevas Das now. It's not tricking. It's not lying, but it's stealing his mind. Right? Gnevas Das means I cannot steal your mind. For example, let's say I know you are you're going away for Shabbos. So I come over. I heard you tell someone you're going away. So I go over to you and say, "Oh, Brian, I want to have you over for Shabbos. Could you come over for Shabbos? We want to have you over. We're going to have a whole festive Shabbos meal. Could you come over?" That's called Gnevas Das, because I'm misleading you. I'm trying to get you to think that I want you to come, and I know you can't really come.
Are you kidding? For the opportunity to have Shabbos meal at the Goldwasser house, I'll cancel my trip.
So then you have to know. You have to know if I'm asking who we're asking here. But that would be the idea. It's called Gnevas Das. And then the classic case where we have this come up is in Parshas Toldos with Esav and Yaakov. So Yitzchak says to Esav, "Go bring me some food. I want to give you the blessings." So Esav runs out and he's busy in the field and he's trying to trap an animal, and he traps it. And what happened is, actually, the Medrash says that he was trapping it and the Malachim were letting it out, and he was trapping it again and the Malachim were letting it out. So he's very busy in the field, and Yaakov comes in and says, "Anoichi Esav v'chorecha." I says those three words. Anoichi, I, Esav v'chorecha. The question is, how do you read those words? Anoichi, I'm bringing you the stuff. Esav v'chorecha. Esav's your bechor. Depends how you read the words, how the cancellation went. So there, that was a question of stealing Yitzchak's mind. But there, the answer is, there he's allowed. Rabbi Yaakov Kamenetsky says, with someone who's twisted, like Yitzchak, like Esav. Esav was twisted. He twisted his father. He twisted his hand, and he actually tricked him. He started asking him these questions. How do you take off meiser, the tithe off of salt? And he knows that you don't have to really. He's trying to make believe he's extra scrupulous and stringent. How do you take off the tithe off the teven, off the straw? So he tricked his father. His father was blind, so his father had the impression that Esav was good. So therefore, Esav, now, he was going to get the bracha, and Yaakov saw that was not really magia. It wasn't really supposed to come to him, because he really didn't deserve such a thing. So in such a case, Yaakov had the right to now come in and take the brachas, because it says, if ikesh titapo, with the twisted one, you have to go and deal with him in a twisted way. So if someone twists, like Lavan, same thing with Lavan. Lavan was twisting, and he tricked Yaakov. He tried 100 times to change the wages. Spotted to speckled, to stripes, 100 times. Asteres moinim, the pasuk says. So with a twisted person, you are allowed to deal with him twisted. That's what the Rabbi Yaakov Kamenetsky says, and it's a pasuk in Mishlei, I believe. So therefore, that's another idea where there Rabbi Yaakov brings down, you are allowed to even say a lie.
So maybe in his scenario, if you know that the father's a little twisted,
right,
he has he's not really looking out for his daughter's best interests. She wants someone who's maybe not as serious a learner, but more of a worker, or whatever it is. But he's, and he's saying, no, I don't care what you want. And maybe, so for the Rebbe who knows that, to sort of
right. So that would be a good idea. Right. That would be where it's relevant, right? Where you wouldn't have this idea, right, that we have brought up. Let's say the father would be on par with his daughter, but on the other hand, he would realize, right, the father, let's say he's totally unrealistic. Some parents, they don't understand what their kids want, or they're on a totally different wavelength than their kids, and they think their kid is going to yeshiva. Some parents, they think the kids go to yeshiva, that's so terrible, and they're trying everything they do to fight it. So such an idea, till their parents will get around and understand that it's really for their kids' best interest to grow up and be a Torah observant Jew and see the beautiful lifestyle and see the midos, the character traits, it might be 5 years down the line. Right now, the parents are fighting them, they shouldn't go to yeshiva. And then the Shelach comes, the father is gonna, the father wants to know, is this boy, what is he planning on doing with his life? And so there, that would be where Mr. Snarch and Mr. Callan are coming together. That would be a good idea, where you would say, in Ikesh, the father is not the balabas, he's not the owner on who to say whose daughter marries. Because in such a case where the father is totally against what the Torah wants and what the daughter wants, there the daughter wouldn't have to listen to the father. So this is it's a tricky topic. So maybe we'll try to next week we'll try to do some homework to see what the exact psak would be on that. But this is what we find out. Rabbi Yaakov brings down. Rabbi Yaakov Kamenetsky says this as in regards to Esau and Yaakov, that where he's twisted, you could go back, deal with him in a twisted way. Okay. So now that's just on about that point. But let's go back to Toelis. But Toelis, if there is a Toelis, if the father is on par with the daughter, and he knows what the daughter wants, he's allowed to ask. And the asking is not setting him up to say Lashon Hara. The Rebbe is allowed to say what he holds, because that's Toelis. Even if he's saying bad, even if he's going to say the boy, he's not on the level, he goes out on vacations every day. That is not Lashon Hara, because that's Lit Toelis. Toelis is mutter. So now let's go back to the whole idea of the Parsha. The Parsha says here that the Meraglim, the spies, they went out and they slandered, they spoke Lashon Hara against the Eretz Yisrael. So the question is, why is that Lashon Hara? Didn't the spies have good intentions, right? You brought up before, Mr. Snarch brought up the first question, they were great people. So they were looking out for the Jews' good. They went there, they weren't here to lie. They didn't lie. What they did is they saw things from their perspective, and they thought that Eretz Yisrael was too great, and it was big, and it eats up the people who were there. They saw people dying. That was true. And they saw different things. They saw big towers that go very high up, and they said, we think it's too strong for us to conquer. So why is that Lashon Hara? What did they do wrong here? Weren't they coming? That's the point why they sent out the spies. They wanted to find out, do you think we'll be able to conquer it? Re'isem es haaretz mahi. Pasuk says you should see the land. Ve'es ha'am hayoshev alel. See the nation. Hachazaku harafeh. Are they strong or are they weak? Hama'atu imrav. So they had to do this little spying out to see what the story was.
They didn't have to, right?
The truth is they really didn't have to, because Hashem said that the land is good. Hashem said, the
whole thing was to go to Eretz Yisrael. Now you're going to say you can't.
So this was their mistake, lack of emunah.
So the truth is they shouldn't have really, in the first place, they shouldn't have even asked, because Hashem says good. But once they asked, which was the first step wrong, so now Moshe really, he figured like this. He made a plan. He said like this. I'll do like this. I'll tell you like this. Let's say I want to sell you my car. So you say, okay, what kind of car is it? It's a great car. So I say, you know what? I'll offer it for you for a test drive. You could take it up the highway, take it down to New York, and take it back. And I'm offering this to you all on my own. Before you even ask to take a test drive, they say, take it up to New York and back. So you, listening, you hear my confidence that you're offering me a test drive all the way to New York, and you're confident in the car so that it will go so far. So you'll probably say, you know what, I'll just take it. Just give it to me. You're saying like that, I'll just take it. So Moshe Rabbeinu said, that's what I'll do to them. I'll offer them, they could go to check out Eretz Yisrael, they could see what it is, and they could see. And he thought that they would just say, you know what, we'll just take it, we'll just go. We won't even send the spies. But the problem was they took the bait and they said, you know what, okay, we'll go and see it. See, from there they made the mistake. Now that they went and they saw it, so the answer to the question that I asked is that I said there are 7 conditions that are needed required in order to say Lashon Hara L'Tayelis. And the Chafetz Chaim brings this down, and he says you have to be very careful about all 7. And the 7 have to be fulfilled. And if they're not, then you cannot speak Lashon Hara for Toelis. Yes.
Well, first you have to define what the sin was and what they said, because they could have related certain objective facts without then adding their editorial, we can't do it, and there's
Very good.
too much for
Excellent.
us, and
Excellent. So you have to see the 7 conditions, and they're brought down in the Chavetz Chaim in, I believe it's Sif Beis and Klal Yud. The 10th Klal, he says all of them. He says, first of all, you have to be clear that this wrongdoing is really a wrongdoing, right? First thing is you have to see the facts. That's the first thing. You have to know the facts. Okay, so we'll say they saw the facts. They saw the people dying. But what did they say? Eretz Ocheles Yoshveh. It's a land that eats up the inhabitants. That is not a true statement. They saw people dying, but why were the people dying? The Medrash says that Hashem had them die special in order that they will be so busy, the giants will be so busy burying those people that they won't pay attention to the spies, to the Jews that are there. So, but it wasn't the land was killing them, it wasn't the bad air. So they made a judgment, and they touched up. They say in English, they explain the situation the way they thought of, right? In English, in the court, they call that when you, right? What's it called? When you decide on your own how you judge. You're judging it because the judge will say, no, we want the facts. We don't want your opinion. Right? What's it called in
circumstantial evidence?
no, it's inference.
Inference is one more word.
You're being well, you said it, editorial.
So that you can't do. You could say the facts over, but you have to see that the wrongdoing is actually wrongdoing through the letter of the law. Here, the land is not a land which eats up the inhabitants, that has bad air, or something that kills inhabitants.
There weren't earthquakes going on at the time? I read somewhere in a commentary that there were earthquakes, and people, in other words, the land was swallowing up the people.
So we have to look that up, because it says there that they were dying. We'll have to see how they died. We'll look up the Rashi, but it says that they were burying them. So they were busy burying them. So the first thing is, it's not a land which eats up the people. Number 2, you have to go and tell. You have to see this, that there's no other way to do this except for saying Lashon Hara. The only way I could bring out the to'eles, the positive benefit, is only by speaking Lashon Hara. If there's any way to get around it, for example, you have to go reprimand and give reproof to the person himself before you go and speak Lashon Hara. If there's any other way to do it, you're not allowed to say Lashon Hara, even for to'eles, because you could get around it, do it a different way. So here they could have gone to Moshe, they could have spoken to Moshe.
Yeah, they went right to the people, didn't they?
They went right to the people. That was wrong. That was wrong what they did, because
5 minutes, Jeff.
that was wrong. You don't first go to the people, speak to Moshe. Say, Moshe, we have a problem. What should we do? No, what do? You look at the pasuk there, and you look at also in the beginning of Devarim, where Moshe recounts it and gives them reproof for this whole idea. And Moshe, and you see the words they said. They say, Ki sinas Hashem haitzianu aisanu. Why did Hashem take us out? Why did He, when they heard this report, they said that it was for hatred. Hashem's hating us. He's taking us out from Mitzrayim, and He's giving. It was a beautiful land. They start claiming Mitzrayim is beautiful, and they're adding. Here is an editorial. Here's an opinion that they're adding that we see that Hashem hates us, and that's why He's doing it. That's not part of the story. That's already part of Lashon Hara. And we have another 2. You go through all the conditions. The last one I want to just end is to'eles. It has to be a to'eles. It has to be you're intending to do a positive benefit. How could they have been intending for positive benefit? If Hashem said the land is good, you cannot come and say, I think it's bad. Hashem says it's good. Hashem says it's good. You think that's a to'eles? To'eles means you have to think it's good. Positive benefit will come out. But if let's say Hashem tells you this match is for your daughter, the best thing in the world, do you think the Rebbe is the right one to come along and say, I don't think it's no good. I don't think it'll work out. If Hashem says to'eles, that's the ultimate to'eles that could ever be. Ha'aretz toiva hi me'oid me'oid. There's no reason for anyone to think that there won't be a to'eles here. So they lack the final and most important and vital Tanai condition. You need it to be for to'eles, for a positive condition. It wasn't for positive. If Hashem says good, it's good. Okay.